In this video, we're going to talk about two very closely related ideas, which are Pyschopomps and the Masters of Game. The Masters of Game is also called the Master of Animals, the Lord of Animals, or the Mistress of Animals. It is a very ancient and universal motif that is symbolized by a figure, could be a deity, a shaman, or culture hero between two animals. The animals could be snakes, lions, goats, cows, bears, wolves, pretty much anything. The Britannica defines the Master of the Animals as a supernatural figure regarded as the protector of game in the tradition of foraging peoples. Master of the Animals is believed to be the ruler of the forest and guardian of all animals. In others, he is the ruler of only one species, usually a large animal of economic or social importance to the tribe. It's a complex system of customs governing the relationship between the Master of the Animals, the game animal, and the hunter. The Master controls the game animal or their spirits. He releases a certain number to humans as food, and only the allotted number may be killed, and the slain animals must be treated with respect. If invoked properly, it will guide the hunter to the kill. If not, the master will take revenge. So the Masters of Game are these nature guardians or nature spirits that can protect a species or an entire ecological system. The failure or success of a hunt depended on these Masters of Game. These Masters of Game are microorganisms. We actually see some of these themes still in the modern day in movies like Princess Mononoke with these nature spirits, as well as the guardian or master of the forest in that movie. Sometimes using current or familiar concepts can help us to wrap our heads around these things. But this is just a way of personifying that notion. A very big part of shamanism was communing with these Masters of Game. This is how you had a successful hunt, how you stopped diseases, and also how you connected to the spiritual world. Through these microbial Masters of Game, we'll understand Pyschopomps. And for that, we're going to revisit the myth of Herakles. Herakles is a perfect example because it has all of these themes in one story. In the 12th and final labor, Herakles is tasked with capturing Cerberus. In order to reach the underworld, Herakles must be initiated into the Eleusinian mysteries. While the psychedelic part is not the main focus of this video, the Eleusinian mysteries were a psychedelic ritual. Most people think ergot. But what that tells us is that Herakles is entering this sort of shamanic, meditative, psychedelic state. And there he encounters the watchdog of the underworld, Cerberus. But this also shows us that wolves are Pyschopomps. A psychopomp is a guide of souls, whether it's in dreams or the afterlife or meditation or psychedelic states. It is sort of like a spirit guide. But Cerberus shows us that wolves are an important psychopomp as it's the very guardian of the underworld. Herakles wrestles with Cerberus and is able to tame him. After completing his labor, Herakles returns Cerberus to Hades unharmed. I think this reveals to us the importance of the wolf as a psychopomp, because he was returned safely to his spots. He had an important role in guiding souls. It's also worth noting that Hades has an item called the dog skin. It's a special helmet that gives the wearer protection from supernatural forces. Although she is reluctant, Lyssa is ordered by Hera to make Herakles go mad. Lyssa is the personification of rabies, the master of the wolf. In the domestication of the wolf, there is a chance that you could instead succumb to the wolfish rage, to rabies. Herakles is infected, he goes mad, and he kills his family. This occurs right after the 12th labor when he wrestles with Cerberus. The myth of Herakles is actually a prototype of lycanthropy. He has just fetched the infernal hound Cerberus from Hades. In his absence, the wolf, Lycos, intends to kill Herakles' family. Herakles intervenes to rescue them, but at the critical moment, Lyssa, the goddess of madness, commanded by Hera, drives her pack of hounds against him, infecting him with the toxin of his own arrows, and he becomes mad. In a delusion of altered consciousness, he murders his wife and children. He becomes the wolf. Lyssa, the agency for the delusion, is named as the she-wolf, the personification of rabidity, the madness that regresses the domestication of the canines back to its lupine predecessor. Even in his early life, Herakles is depicted as a hound. This is a mirror depicting Herakles being nursed by the goddess Uni, where we see he has a very wolfish snout. Taking a step back, when we look at the different cultural depictions of the human body, we see many themes of the spirits or essences of animals within a person. When you're connected with different elements of nature, specifically as a shaman wearing the skin of an animal, you're able to take on qualities of that animal. You're quite literally coating yourself with the Masters of Game, with the microorganisms of that animal. Even if it's just temporarily, you're communicating and integrating these microorganisms with your own. Psychopomps are a lot like totems in many ways. They are these protector spirits of a certain element or animal. The masters of game can become part of the body. They can lead to certain dreams or be part of certain animal friendships and even in domestication. If you handle an animal improperly or disrespectfully, you could succumb to its master of game, which would be disease. Going back to the idea of the wolf and the domestication of the wolf, we might think of this as being in the background, but really it's in the foreground, which is the acclimation of microbial communities between someone like a man and a dog. If all goes right, a friendship is formed, and those themes may appear in dreams as the microorganisms become part of the psyche, part of the subconscious, symbolically or literally carrying the information or essence of the wolf, which will show up in dreams or meditative states or psychedelic experiences as a psychopomp. If it goes wrong, the dog can bite you, and the masters of game will take over you, and you succumb to the wolf, as with rabies. While we stuck with Herakles, the symbol of the canine as a psychopomp is pervasive throughout the world, especially the Indo-European world. As well as in Egypt, the guide of souls is a jackal-headed god named Anubis. In Norse mythology, we have the god Tyr, who is able to domesticate the wolf Fenrir. I know this was a lot of ideas at once, and I hope that it wasn't too convoluted to follow along. There are many more examples of wolf mythology and wolf psychopomps, even within the cultures that I mentioned. We just covered one psychopomp, one masters of game, within one mythological story, out of a whole world of mythology and microbiology. In the book, Microbes and Other Shamanic Beings, the author talks about the masters of game, entities which protect a given species, counter-predating on its predators through disease. He's talking about different Amerindian cultures and their so-called spirits, which could be interpreted as the father or master of the sea. This identification is coherent with animic notions of masters of game as pathogenic entities who defend their proteges through disease. Fishing, shelling, and seafaring involve conditions which facilitate the transmission of yaws and other treponemal diseases, which are the syphilis-causing bacteria. He goes on to talk about these different spirits as masters of game and its commensurability with microbiology. I know these topics are huge and complex and the videos are long, but I appreciate everyone who stays and watches them.